Today on the Big Six in 60, the Pistons hold off the Lakers in the final minutes.
The best win of the season, I think, for the Detroit Pistons.
The Seahawks give Jaxon Smith-Njigba a record contract extension.
Jaxon Smith-Njigba getting the bag.
And Syracuse hires school legend Gerry McNamara as head coach.
The next head coach of Syracuse basketball is Gerry McNamara.
This is the Big Six in 60, the six biggest national sports stories from our local experts at the Locked On Podcast Network. We bring you the real story, why it matters, what's next, who wins the big game, and more, all in 60 minutes. The Big Six in 60 starts now. Thank you for making the Big Six in 60 your first listen of the day. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Download the FanDuel app now by visiting FanDuel.com and win $300 in bonus bets if your first $5 bet wins. The Pistons beat the Lakers last night after battling with LA down the stretch, and Khalil recaps the win on Locked On Pistons.
We're going to start with breaking down this game. The best win of the season, I think, for the Detroit Pistons. I know the New York game when Cade just completely went nuclear and put everyone on the map, and he was being talked about for the next few weeks as an MVP candidate because of just how bad he destroyed the Knicks in that game. I understand that is at the top of a lot of people's list. But considering the circumstances in this game for the Detroit Pistons, you're coming in and you're playing a Los Angeles Lakers team that has won 9 straight games. I believe they've won 12 of 13 as well. They are one of the best clutch teams in the entire NBA. I'm almost 100% sure they have the best record in clutch situations. They have some of the, I think, either top 3 or the best record when it comes to one-score games. They are one of the best teams in the NBA this season in these situations the Pistons were in, which was a 1-point game in which the Pistons found a way to win. That team is incredible in those situations, and they have Luka Doncic, they have LeBron James, they have Austin Reeves, and the Pistons were able to beat that team, again, without Cade Cunningham. Considering all that, and again, considering how great the Lakers had looked over the last 15-ish games, with how much Luka was just destroying everybody and how much talk had been around him, for the Pistons to come into this game without Cade Cunningham and beat the Lakers, go up by double digits early, allow the Lakers to come, or not allow, but the Lakers come back, take the lead by 1 in the final minute of the game, not flinching, coming back down, taking the lead back, and then getting a stop on the final possession. Just an absolutely huge win for the Detroit Pistons. I do want to talk about something specifically that happened in this game that I thought was really, really interesting to see. Because we are going to talk about Danius Jenkins, who is the player of the game. The Pistons decided not to foul on the final possession up 3. And I thought that was the right the right decision there by JB Bickerstaff. Earlier I said 1-point game. It was a 1-point game. They won by 3 against the Lakers. But the Pistons were up by 3, final possession for the Lakers. A play that I think JJ actually did a good job drawing up. I think Luka did get wide open off this back screen, but I could not tell if LeBron just threw a bad pass and it hit the back of somebody's head, or if JD saw it and got a hand on it and forced a knockaway. Either way, initially I thought they had created an open 3. The Pistons get a knockaway, and at that point, the Pistons decided to just play it out and not foul up 3, which I think was the right decision by JB Bickerstaff, because the Pistons did not have a timeout. And if you have a timeout there and you foul, let's say they make 2 free throws, at least then you can call a timeout, you can advance the ball. So even if you do turn the ball over off the inbounds, they're on the other side of the floor. If you turn the ball over underneath your own basket and they just made 2 free throws, you're in a really bad spot. You get double teamed in the corner, and all of a sudden you're throwing a ball back towards the rim. Terrible spot. I did not want to see the Pistons get stuck in that situation, so I thought that was a very smart call by JB Bickerstaff to not foul up 3, which I think you usually do, in my opinion, most of the time. Now, moving past all of that, because I thought that was, I really just liked that decision from JB. Danius Jenkins, player of the game. Is it crazy to say he was just the best player on the floor for both teams? Is that like too far to go? 30 points, 8 assists, 4 rebounds, 11 of 18 shooting, 75.9 true shooting, only 2 turnovers, 4 or 5 from deep, the game-winning shot, the put the Pistons back up by 1, the possession prior to that one by making 2 free throws. So back-to-back possessions of hitting clutch time buckets. I don't know how you don't really call Danius Jenkins the player of the game here. And he just, The Lakers could not stop him. He was obviously hitting his outside shot, which was great to see, but I thought he was making much better decisions with the ball in his hand in this game. He was making some really nice passes. He was running the offense pretty well. The offense stagnated a little bit in the fourth quarter as the Lakers mounted the comeback, but he didn't let that shake him, and he ended up delivering big-time play after big-time play at the end of this game. And Danis, we talked about it a lot. Danis had not played well for quite a while for the Detroit Pistons, to the point where there was a lot of concern about, hey, should we be concerned that the Pistons have a guard rotation problem? I mean, we've talked about it a lot on the podcast. He had been struggling mightily before Cade went out. So before March 13th, if you go all the way back to February 9th, the previous 15 games, Danis was at 5.9 points on 39 true shooting. He was averaging 1.4 turnovers in just 18 minutes a game. As recently as last week, we saw him get taken out of the rotation for at least one game from Marcus Sasser. Like, that's how south things were going for him at one point. And for him to respond in this game with how he played is absolutely insane. Again, against a Lakers team that had been playing exceptional. That can't be forgotten. This Lakers team had won 9 straight, some really good wins over some really good teams, and had been getting thrown in the conversations like, oh my God, the Lakers title contenders, are they going to win the title this year? And the Pistons went out and did this, and Danis went out there and did 30 points and 8 assists against a team like that. The 4 games that Danis has played since Cade went down, he has played maybe, because I know earlier in the year he had some crazy stretches, but in the 4 games since Cade went down, he has played maybe his best ball of the season. He's averaging 19 points a game, 7 assists, 3.8 rebounds on 60 true shooting. He's shooting 53% from beyond the arc. That's probably going to regress a little bit, obviously. But overall, he's playing extremely well, and he's stepping up big time in the minutes that Cade, or not the minutes, the games that Cade has not been here. And right after when Cade got hurt, we recorded the podcast talking about, man, this is going to be tough. We're concerned. You gotta take every game as if it's going to be a close game. You have to take every single team serious because just getting a win is going to be big with this time without Cade. And since Cade went down, they've just went out there and beat the Wizards, which that's an easy win. But they showed up, blew out the Wizards. They went up against the Warriors, basically blew out the Warriors as well, and then come up at home against the Lakers and beat them too at their own game. They beat them in clutch game situations. The game was a 1-point game. They could have shied away. They could have fallen apart. And instead, they outplayed the Los Angeles Lakers, who have Luka Doncic, LeBron James, and Austin Reeves in a clutch situation to get the win again without Cade Cunningham. They're just absolutely fantastic. Big-time win by the Pistons. Danis, player of the game. He stepped up big time since Cade went down, man. And that step-back midi he hit over Reeves was not an easy shot, especially at the end of the game. You missed that, Pistons probably lose. He's falling away towards the sideline or towards the baseline. Just absolutely tough shot. Just such a great game from Danis, man. I'm happy for him. And for the Pistons, I know he went through that 15-game stretch where he just was really struggling. But for the Pistons to find this type of value out of a two-way guy, he's now a roster guy now, but to get this type of value from a two-way guy, even with, to be honest, some of the downs that we saw over the last 15 games, to be able to get this type of value from someone that can just go out there and do this, that for stretches of this season has just been incredible, is unheard of. Is unheard of. Again, even with some of the downs over the last 15 games, not many two-way guys are simply ever capable of just coming out and scoring 30 and 8 against a really good team on incredible efficiency. And Danis has done that multiple times this year. Not 30 points, but great games against good teams when they've needed him to. And despite the struggles, I mean, this just shows you, this was an incredible pickup by the Pistons, incredible value by the Detroit Pistons. And the fact that they have someone that can step up like that when Cade's out, it's remarkable, man. It's no one saw this coming. It's absolutely remarkable.
The tournament is here, and it's one of the best times of the year. Brackets, buzzer beaters, upsets. It's nonstop action from tip to final cutdown. And right now, FanDuel is giving new customers a way to stay in the action all tournament long. Here's the best part. You get up to $300 back in bonus bets every day for 10 days. That means 10 chances to stay involved throughout the tournament. You can mix it up however you want. Game picks, futures, or even same-game parlays for bigger potential payouts. It's perfect for the tournament because every day there's something new. Different matchups, new storylines, and more ways to get involved as the bracket unfolds. So visit FanDuel.com to sign up today. That's FanDuel.com to get in on the action.
Welcome back to the Big Six in 60. Jaxon Smith-Njigba won NFL Offensive Player of the Year last season at just 23, and the Seahawks rewarded him with the biggest contract for a wide receiver in league history. Corbin Smith goes over the move on Locked On Seahawks.
Jaxon Smith-Njigba getting the bag. A record-setting deal, $168.6 million on a 4-year extension. That's $42+ million per year, the highest paid receiver in NFL history. Really not a surprise at all, because this is where it was trending this entire offseason, with the year that Jaxon Smith-Njigba just put together, helping the Seattle Seahawks get their second Super Bowl title, Offensive Player of the Year. Nearly hit the 1,800 receiving yard mark to lead the NFL, 10 touchdowns. And there's just so many mind-boggling stats when you look at this season for Jaxon Smith-Njigba and what he was able to accomplish catching the football from Sam Darnold. Maybe the thing that is most shocking to me when you look at what he just did, joining Calvin Johnson and Tyreek Hill, was only the third player to reach the 700-yard mark while averaging more than 15 yards per reception. He had 42 explosive catches this year for the Seattle Seahawks. There was not another player in the league that had more than 35. 7 more explosive catches than anyone else. He also had an incredible season on 10-plus yard throws through the air, 60 catches in that regard. Only DeAndre Hopkins and Calvin Johnson had equaled that. And oh, by the way, JSN had a 69% catch rate on those passes, more than 15% higher than either Hopkins or Johnson. So he wasn't just lethal, he was incredibly efficient this season. And so from that regard alone, and we're talking about a player that just turned 24 years old, so he is still, you can argue, not even quite into the prime of his career. He's an incredibly young talent, great locker room guy that has the respect of everybody that is in the organization. And the fact that they were able to knock this out this quickly, that speaks volumes for both the organization and the player. This was a mutual thing. They wanted to get this done. The Seahawks gave him the bag. They gave him the highest paid receiver contract. No questions asked on it. They were able to knock this out quickly. And this really shouldn't be a surprise when you consider the Seahawks have always paid receivers. I mean, when DK Metcalf and Tyler Lockett were both on massive contracts that were top 10, top 15 money at the receiver position at the same time, Seattle was one of the highest investing teams at the receiver spot. Right now, they have more money invested in the receiver position than any team in the league after paying Rashid Shaheed earlier this month. Cooper Kupp still on a good-sized contract, and now JSN getting this record deal. It shouldn't be a surprise, though. This is how the Seahawks have always operated under John Schneider. It is a position that they have prioritized, and really around the league, I think it is one of the core high-priced positions now. That's what receivers turned into. And JSN earned that contract. Look at the age, the fact that he just won a Super Bowl in his third season, the numbers that he put up, and just how indispensable that he really was for this team. When you consider the fact that this is a player that this past season, 36.6% of the team's receptions went to Jaxon Smith-Njigba. That's third all time for a receiver to accomplish. That's been a 1,000-yard target. Fourth in the team's receiving yards percentage, 44%. He also had 44% of the team's first down catches. So you're talking about an incredibly invaluable, indispensable player. And Jaxon Smith-Njigba got the vast majority of Sam Darnold's targets in this offense as well. He truly was the figurehead of Seattle's offense, and he was putting up all those big numbers while being a heavy volume player, high percentage player, getting targets, and an offense that didn't throw the ball in terms of volume as much as a lot of teams out there. They still relied on the run game. But when they threw the ball, JSN was often on the receiving side. So he more than earned this deal. And what I think makes this a home run for both sides, it's obviously a lot of cash, paying $168.6 million over 4 years for a non-quarterback. That is a lot of dough. But just as the Seahawks did with Charles Cross this past year, look, the NFL provides mechanisms for teams. If you're smart and you know how to manage your cap and you know how to maintain your relationships with your star players, I look at teams like the Dallas Cowboys, the issues that they have had extending players, the talented players, and then having to trade Micah Parsons to the Packers because of that. And now they're in the situation there with George Pickens. Like, there are teams out there that do not handle these extensions well, and they let the deals, the negotiations go up to the final moment, which ends up costing you a lot more money. The Seahawks getting this deal done now. They just picked up the 5th-year option for Jaxon Smith-Njigba on March 20th. But that is a shrewd move in the sense that they get to keep that 5th year on the rookie deal, which it's a $23.5 million deal for that season. It's not like it's, peanuts for a receiver, but compared to what his contract is going to be, it gives the Seahawks a lot of flexibility. When you have that extra 5th year, this is really a 6-year deal worth over $190 million, an average of $32 million per year. The new money is $42+ million per year, those 4 years on the extension. But when you have that 5th year, and again, they did this with Charles Cross, and this is what teams should be doing. You pick up that 5th year option on your former first-round pick. The first rounders are the only ones you can do that with. You pick up that 5th year option. It gives you another year of club control. It gives you another year that you can spread out your cap hits. So it helps a little bit with your salary cap and the cap hits that you're going to have, your signing bonus. It is going to be able to spread that out over the life of the contract with an extra year. Again, this is what smart football teams should be doing. Seattle did with Charles Cross. They did it with Jaxon Smith-Njigba in this particular instance. So his new contract isn't even going to officially kick off until 2028. And this means he is under contract through 2031. And so you're looking at when he's 30 years old, he's going to have a chance to cash in one more time. And I think Seattle will probably kick off the extension talks then in 2030, as John Schneider loves to do and is his procedure. 1 year left in a contract. Okay, let's open up negotiations. So he'll be 29. He's got another chance to get a massive contract again. But this allows Seattle to keep a cornerstone player through 2031. And now you don't have to worry about it. You had a little bit of extra flexibility. I think the other thing is there are going to be other receivers. Puka Nacua with the Rams, George Pickens, as I mentioned, with the Cowboys, and there's a few other guys coming up on contracts at the receiver position. A couple years from now, $42 million per year is going to feel like a relative bargain for a player who you're expecting is just going to keep getting better, and you can justify paying that price. If they would have waited this out, you might be paying $45, $46, $47 million per year. Instead, they get the deal done now. So really, this works well for both teams. It's a home run for both sides because the Seahawks are able to get that extra year, that 5th-year option. They are able to get a little bit more financial flexibility there, spreading their signing bonus out. They have their superstar receiver under contract now through 2031. And Jaxon Smith-Njigba, then, hey, 5th-year option, I'm still getting $23 million that year, plus the signing bonus getting spread out. And then I'm getting all this cash through 2031, and I want to be in Seattle. He's made that clear the entire time. He wanted to be highest paid, but he wanted to be in Seattle. So he gets everything that he wants. Again, this is a win-win. This is the ideal way to do an extension for a first-round pick when you have that 5th-year option, not 5th round, 5th-year option for your first rounder.
Syracuse basketball hasn't made the NCAA tournament in 5 seasons. And now the Orange has brought in a familiar face in Gerry McNamara, fresh off his Siena team giving Duke a run for its money in the first round of the NCAA tournament, to be its next head coach. Jackson Holzer tells us everything you need to know on the hire on Locked On Syracuse.
Gerry McNamara is set to be the next head coach of Syracuse basketball. On the screen, I put Pete Thamel because that was the first report I saw, but it was also backed by Jeff Borzello, backed by Joe Tipton, and now others are chiming in as well. This is happening. The next head coach of Syracuse basketball is Gerry McNamara. Comment your thoughts right now in the comments section below. Are you excited for the hire? Are you pleased with Syracuse staying within the family and hiring Gerry McNamara? Or are you disappointed? And by the way, if you are someone that is disappointed with this hire, that is okay. You're allowed to be disappointed. You're allowed to feel whatever you want to feel. Because at the end of the day, and I'll give you my thoughts in just a moment here about Gerry McNamara and Syracuse and him becoming the next head coach. But at the end of the day, there's only one thing that matters. Does he win? And is he going to win with Syracuse? That's it. Does he win? Because at the end of the day, if you like the hire, if you love the hire, you don't like the hire, you hate the hire, you like results. You want positive results. And if Gerry McNamara is the one that is delivering positive results, we will be very happy. Now, as far as my thoughts, what do I think of Gerry McNamara becoming the next head coach of Syracuse? I'm not going to run away from what I have said before about Gerry McNamara weeks ago and months ago. But I will also tell you what I have been saying recently about Gerry McNamara. So let's rewind everything. We've known for a long time that there was going to be a regime change with Syracuse. It was going to be the new athletic director, which obviously became Brian Blair. He was going to take over for John Wildhack. And we knew that Adrian Autry and his coaching staff, their days were numbered. We knew that Syracuse ultimately was going to go in a different direction this offseason for their next head coach and their next assistant head coaches and their next GM in all likelihood as well, which ended up happening. We knew they were going in a different direction. At that time, I did not feel that Gerry McNamara was a worthy candidate. I thought that Gerry McNamara was only being thrown out there because he was within the family. And that us Syracuse fans, we obviously know who Gerry McNamara is. You can't tell the story of Syracuse basketball without Gerry McNamara. He is one of the most influential Syracuse players out there. Look what he did in the first half against Kansas of the 2003 national championship game. A team with Carmelo Anthony on it doesn't win if not for Gerry McNamara and all his three-pointers he was hitting in the first half against Kansas in that game. So we all know the history of Gerry McNamara. But up until that point, as a head coach at Siena, he had not proven himself enough, in my opinion. But over the last few weeks, things have obviously changed. And I think more and more people, including myself, started becoming more open to the idea of Gerry McNamara becoming the next head coach. Not necessarily because he is within the family, because he's earned it. So let's talk about it. Why has Gerry McNamara earned the job as the Syracuse basketball head coach? He took over a Siena team in 2024 that the previous season had won just 4 games. Obviously, not good. A 4-win season, no matter what level, is really bad. In his first year, 2024-2025, Gerry McNamara and Siena shows substantial improvement. They win 14 games. Now, I'm not going to sit here and tell you that 14 wins is good. It's not good. Hence why I've been saying for a long time that I didn't feel he had proven himself yet. But 4 wins to 14 wins, pretty good. That's good progress, as we would call it. It's not the end goal. If he had 3 seasons of winning 14 games, I wouldn't say that's good, but from a year-over-year turnaround, solid 4 wins to 14. Okay. What does he do this year? Well, all he does is win the conference tournament. So he takes Siena to the NCAA tournament for the first time since, I want to say 2010 was the last time they were in the tournament. So he takes Siena to the tournament for the first time since 2010. Mind you, Syracuse hasn't been in the tournament in over 5 years. So that's good. We want someone who's been in the tournament before. And I know it's only one game. It's one game. We can't overreact to one game. But we can also react to the game. 16 seed Siena going up against the top overall team in the tournament, the Duke Blue Devils, who, by the way, yesterday, Saturday, March 21st, steamrolled through TCU. Gerry, McNamara, and Siena were up 11 at the half against Duke. And in the second half, they had Duke on the ropes. It would have been arguably the greatest upset ever pulled in NCAA tournament history. Obviously, there are others that are out there. Fairleigh Dickinson beating Purdue, UMBC beating Virginia. You would be able to put Siena over Duke right up there with those two as the biggest upsets. Now, unfortunately for Siena and Gerry McNamara, it didn't happen. He did not win the game. But the fact that they were right there till the very end, I think, is what ultimately had, including myself, a lot of people saying, you know what? That was a fabulous audition. He was able to take that Duke team with those Siena resources and take them to the brink. Meanwhile, you look at Syracuse, and I know they don't have the resources that Duke has, but they have substantially more than Siena, and they get blown out every single time they play Duke. Every time they get destroyed, they get demolished. That means something. I thought it was brilliant, given the circumstances, that he pushed all 5 of his starters to play 40 minutes. He had to. He had no choice. You can go look at the circumstances of that game. You can also take into account that this is not a Monday night in January against some no-name team from the MAC conference. This is Duke in the NCAA tournament. Go down with your best. Go down swinging. And that's what he did. So ultimately, I like it. I like the move. Gerry McNamara is the next head coach of Syracuse basketball.
The tournament is here, and it's one of the best times of the year. Brackets, buzzer beaters, upsets. It's nonstop action from tip to final cutdown. And right now, FanDuel is giving new customers a way to stay in the action all tournament long. Here's the best part. You get up to $300 back in bonus bets every day for 10 days. That means 10 chances to stay involved throughout the tournament. You can mix it up however you want. Game picks, futures, or even same-game parlays for bigger potential payouts. It's perfect for the tournament because every day there's something new. Different matchups, new storylines, and more ways to get involved as the bracket unfolds. So visit FanDuel.com to sign up today. That's FanDuel.com to get in on the action.
Welcome back to the Big 6 in 60. The Michigan State Spartans will play in another Sweet 16 with Coach Tom Izzo after beating Louisville in the second round. To go over that win and look ahead to next weekend, here's Matt Sheehan with Locked On Spartans.
Let's tie up some loose ends from the previous weekend because we kind of went a little over the 24-hour rule here, or kind of on the 48-hour rule, but we will flip the page here in a second. Before that, though, what are you still not over from this weekend? And that's a broad question. Is it just simply the 17th Sweet 16 berth under Tom Izzo? Is it someone's individual play? What caught your eye that you're still thinking about on this fine Monday, Connor?
What's catching my eye is social media, and I think Iz has a lot of disrespect on his name outside of like the Spartan Nation.
It's pretty nice.
Go and do it. Like, this is the norm, right? Like, you got to start respecting this man at some point if you're not part of Spartan, Nation. And Hurley mentioned it post game, but like, this guy's gone to so many Sweet 16s and he's so relevant every single year. 28 straight NCAA tournaments. Like, Sweet 16 is not a given, and the fact that he's able to do it so consistently, and we're not getting draft picks, lottery picks, 5 stars coming into our campus every single year. It's amazing what he's able to do, and people got to start putting he's got a lot of respect on his name, but like he gets a lot of hate on social media, and we need to forget about all that.
There was one big outlet, and it is part of my take, one of my favorite podcasts. They actually give Izzo a lot of love, saying it must be sick to be a Michigan State fan because your season pretty much starts in the Sweet 16 more years than not. So major credit goes to them. But yeah, for all the haters out there that wonder, oh, why is he Mr. March? He won his last title 27 years ago. Like, that is true, but we're talking 17 Sweet 16s. His record on day 2 games of a weekend is phenomenal. So I also wanted to get to this point too, but this was seen in a hype video that came out of the weekend, and it's not the first time I've heard something of this ilk. But he told his players, get us through this weekend, we'll get you through the next weekend. Mm-hmm. As someone that's been in the locker room, has experienced that firsthand, I guess it's obviously not cliche. It's true. What's different about this week than the last week of preparation? If you can go back and remember the glory days here, Connor.
Yeah. So I think he said that, but I think he typically says that and he means like get us through the first game and then we're going to get you through the second game. Because we have a lot of time to scout. So like the first game is going to be on the players. The second game is going to be more up to the coaches, getting that scout ready beforehand, depending on what team we're going to play. So I don't know if I haven't heard him say that quote yet. So I was a little taken back when I heard the same thing. I was like, I think he messed that up, but you know what, whatever. I don't know if they got new strategy, new structure or what, but right. I guess we're going to let Iz take us through to the Final Four, and that's fine with me.
Sure, that plays here. I mean, look, before we go on and we talk about this upcoming weekend and, just some other line items that I just want your thoughts on here. I did want to go back and reiterate what I talked about on the postgame show against Louisville is just how Loctite that defense seemed, and especially on short notice, as we all know. It seemed like everyone was so assignment sound. Who to fight over on ball screens with? Who are we going to sag off of? Yeah. I mean, that's just picture perfect Michigan State in the tournament basketball. Was there anything that caught your eye as a former player, or is it kind of along the lines of, yeah, these guys seem really defensively sound with a game plan in less than 48 hours to prepare for the game?
Yeah, it's definitely, I thought we played a hell of a game defensively, right? Like we had a couple miscues. Our offense wasn't as sound at times. And that's what we have to live with because that's consistently what it's been. It's like, is our offense going to be there? Are we going to make shots? You know what? The one thing that we can do and control is our defense and our preparation. Yeah. So that second game, I know our guys were locked in right after we won our first round. Got through that, had Louisville. And I know right after our first game, we're eating dinner, watching film, going to bed, watching more film, getting walked through. Shout out scout team. They were doing their thing in the hotel room. That's right. In the ballroom where we have our walkthroughs, like getting all of the plays, all the scouts, all the tendencies for each player. Who, like you said, who are we going to go over on? Who can we not let shoot? Who are we going to sag off on, go under screens? And then if we do that, if we go over screens, our big Coop and Jax are I just love having them as veteran players because if we do go over screens, like they're not letting someone get downhill on us. Like they're going to give our guard time to get over and get back in front. So, and then our weak side's got to tag the big when they roll. So like all of that stuff is being taken care of. And I just like the way that we looked in terms of what can we control. And we did a good job.
And we'll get into UConn here in a little bit, but yeah, I'm glad that they actually have days to prepare for UConn, who does all sorts of flashy things off ball with their movement. Hurley has not gotten to this place by accident. He's some of the best in the game. So yeah, having, will this be 4 or 5 full days before the game tips off? I'll take that. Yeah. I do like MSU in a quick turnaround, but I also enjoy having nearly a full week to prepare for this Hurley offense. That'll be nice, Connor. So
yes. I agree. We got a day on them. So we were definitely watching their game yesterday. They had to travel. We were probably eating dinner, watching the game together, going through some things, and then we're really going to start locking in today.
Dumb question. Does that matter, having an extra day? I mean, obviously, that could be kind of marginal, but it seems like March Madness games can be won in the margins. Is that a massive advantage, or is that just kind of minuscule, do you think?
Right now, with us sitting in the shoes that we're sitting in today, I think it does matter. But if I was UConn, I'd be like, it doesn't matter, right? Like it depends on what side of the fence you're on. But with us right now, I think it was a huge advantage for us to get home, relax, probably have an off day in terms of nothing to do with, the body, like not getting into full court presses during scrimmages and stuff like that. Like we're taking it easy. We're relaxing. We're watching film, probably watching a little bit more film on that Louisville game and focusing on ourselves. And just what could we have done better? How could we have scored? How could we have made better reads? What defense is going to come at us? Like, how can we get better in the next game and work on ourselves? And then we probably ate dinner, watched the first half of the game. They probably sent them off. We got to relax where, UConn's playing a game that was, I would just say it's in our advantage. Yeah, right. Like they got home yesterday, probably late. Now they got to focus on us, and we already knew who we were focusing on yesterday.
Speaking of watching the Louisville tape, talk about how you can get better. This is a tweet from Kenny Jordan. So he was at the Tom Izzo press conference today, and this was about Jordan Scott calling Tom Izzo to say, quote, he just realized what he did wrong in Saturday's game versus Louisville. Like I said, if you can't self-evaluate, it's hard to improve. So Jordan Scott, we've talked about it. It's been 7 straight games scoring in just single figures. That's after he started nonstop scoring in double figures when he got the starting role. Seems like we've hit a little bit of a freshman wall, which is understandable because a lot of minutes are being put in high effort defensively for him.
Right.
But that's just another great anecdote of, okay, well, even if it's not working offensively, this kid's still going to be a massive factor moving forward because, Connor, when I look at this UConn matchup, there's one thing I'm worried about. It is more the defensive side of the ball for Michigan State. If you can just show up with your A game there.
Yep.
I'm dreaming of that Elite Eight, man. I got to say, like, sure, on offense, you got to score at least 65 points, you would imagine. I would like a lot more, but, man, my first thought in this matchup is, okay, tighten it up defensively. You got to have your best and also rebounding. What do you have any early thoughts on this UConn matchup coming up?
It's going to be a lot of Carson Cooper and our vets and Jackson Kohler, right? Obviously, they got Caravan. We got to worry about him. He shot it really well yesterday.
Yes.
And he's been there for so long. He has a lot of experience too himself. He's won 2 national championships. He's been through the ringer there. So that concerns me a little bit, just having that level of I've been here, done that sort of thing from their veteran leader that's shooting it really well right now. But they're also big. I mean, they play 4, kind of smaller guards, but then you have Reed, who's just a beast, and he's getting 28 rebounds, in a game. That doesn't make much sense, but he's playing really well. He got in a little bit of foul trouble yesterday. So, can we get him into some foul trouble? Can we get some minutes where he has to be on the bench and we can take advantage of that? But I really think Carson and Jax are going to have to do a good job of containing him, not letting him get on the offensive glass, not giving them second chance, points from a rebound kick out. Those are the easiest threes to shoot off of an offensive rebound when it's going inside to out. So, and then everyone's collapsing, right? So if he can get a bunch of offensive rebounds and kick them out to wide open shooters, that's the easiest shot in the game, and you're in rhythm. So we got to limit that, and that we got to gang rebound and then close out. So I obviously we want to stop Caravan, but we got to control the glass and then try and get out in transition and get, easy points.
The tournament is here, and it's one of the best times of the year. Brackets, buzzer beaters, upsets. It's nonstop action from tip to final cutdown. And right now, FanDuel is giving new customers a way to stay in the action all tournament long. Here's the best part. You get up to $300 back in bonus bets every day for 10 days. That means 10 chances to stay involved throughout the tournament. You can mix it up however you want. Game picks, futures, or even same-game parlays for bigger potential payouts. It's perfect for the tournament because every day there's something new. Different matchups, new storylines, and more ways to get involved as the bracket unfolds. So visit FanDuel.com to sign up today. That's FanDuel.com to get in on the action.
Welcome back to the Big 6 in 60. The Duke Blue Devils might have the best team in college basketball when healthy, and Jon Scheyer is getting some key players back on the court as Duke advances in the NCAA tournament. JJ Jackson looks at the first weekend and what lies ahead on Locked On Blue Devils.
Patrick Gongba II made his return for Duke basketball. The Blue Devils win by 23, and for the 3rd straight season, they've made it to the Sweet 16. We bring Jeff Fedotin on into the program. The number 1 overall seed had a tight one with Siena to open up the NCAA tournament. Much more comfortable on Saturday night. Jeff, I hope you're doing well.
JJ, doing well. Always great being on your show. Always great to still be dancing at this time of year.
Yeah, absolutely, man. The fact that Duke still gets to play and has big matchups coming up, the Jon Scheyer versus Rick Pitino of it all a little bit later in the week. We're going to have plenty of conversations about St. John's and what that matchup will look like and whatnot. But specifically for this game against TCU, how about the ride of emotions when you see Patrick Gongba II practiced on Friday going into the game from the clips that the Duke social media team put out, and then arriving into the arena, he's still riding the knee rover scooter, Jeff. He was fooling everybody.
Exactly. Maybe to keep, trying to just save him up for that game. it seemed to have worked. That was obviously a big storyline of the game. And it was good and bad. He showed obvious rust, that he had 4 turnovers. But at the same time, you got that high-low passing game between him and Cam Boozer. So that was the positive. The negative, obviously, some fouls and those turnovers. But most importantly, they've done such a good job. They haven't lost since they haven't lost a game since his injury. But we know to really go where we want to go, we need a Big Pat in the lineup.
Yeah, got to have the big fella out there to help with everything. And yes, there was foul trouble issues, but you didn't feel it as much because you still had Malik Brown and Cam Boozer, whereas in previous games when there was only 2 of the 3 front court players that we're used to seeing this year for Duke, when somebody's in foul trouble, you really start to feel that impact, and that wasn't as much the case here. This is now 2 straight. You mentioned the kind of big-to-big passing, 2 straight games, and we'll see if this happens on Friday against St. John's. I could help out with the scouting report for the Johnnies if I needed to, but both games have started with pretty much identical buckets for Duke. It's been lobs at the rim to Malik Brown. Go back and watch it. The first basket that Duke scored in the game against Siena was a lob up to Malik Brown. The second game against TCU, Cam Boozer from the free throw line floats it up, and Malik Brown was able to throw it down. Gongba got right back in the mix and was able to – that's what makes this Duke offense so versatile. Sure, they can be a little bit streaky shooting the basketball, but if Cam Boozer's not putting his head down and driving to the rim, watch out for the other big players, the postmen, because they're able to kick it out to shooters and lane drivers and that sort of thing.
JJ, that's such a great point. That I watched every play, but that didn't occur to me how the exact same play to start up. Okay, what insight there. And I'm glad you mentioned Malik Brown too, and a good point with how Big Pat just helped having his presence. I mean, he had such a fantastic game in the second round there. I mean, his line 4 for 5 from the field, 12 points, 9 rebounds. He's such a defensive presence that anything he can get from offense points wise is just kind of gravy. But 12 and 9, we'll take that every day of the week.
Yeah, that's a huge game by Malik standards. And a lot of people, I was in the conversation, okay, Big Pat's back. Does that mean he immediately goes back into the starting lineup? What does this kind of look like? And I know Duke was wanting to be a little cautious with the minutes that you're putting out there on the big fella in his first game back. But no, they kept it the same. Malik Brown was the starter. Malik Brown received the message. He didn't change his game whatsoever and became such a big focal point of what Duke wanted to do offensively, in particular there in the first half. What they got out of Brown, Sarr with his 3-point shots, Isaiah Evans both driving the lane and knocking down a couple of shots from the outside. They carried Duke, because if you would have told us at halftime of the TCU game that only 4 points would be scored by Caden and Cam Boozer combined, it would have been like, uh-oh, this is not good, considering the run that Duke's been on. And yet it was totally fine. The rest of the guys stepped up. Duke had a 4-point lead at halftime and was able to build on that in the second half. But yeah, at the break, Jeff, if you would have said Boozer twins only 4 points, we're in a world of trouble.
Yeah, I felt kind of good going into the second half considering that. I'm like, wow, Duke is up by 4 and the Boozers have done so little. We've seen Cameron Boozer do this before, most notably actually in game 1 against Texas, which ended up being a preview of 2 teams in the Sweet 16 who thought that would have happened but that game he did very little in the first half scoring wise, and then they had a big second half. He often just, he's such a winner and he puts up these big numbers, but he really lets the game come to him. He's almost sometimes too unselfish. So, that's just his game. I covered that Duke Arkansas game where he had 35 points, but in the first half, he was actually a little bit slow. Shire even pulled him for an extended bench time. That's just the way he likes others to get into the flow. And then when they really need it in crunch time, he turns it on just like he did against TCU. But yeah, thankfully for Malik Brown and Isaiah Evans to keep Duke afloat in the first half. And then, Duke didn't look great in that first half, but I'm like, yeah, if he's 0 for 1 from the field, Cam Boozer, like that bodes well for the rest of the game. If you can have a 4-point lead with that little production from the best player in the land, I was feeling okay, a little nervous. You always get a little nervous, March Madness, but overall, I was optimistic going in that second half.
Oh yeah, they come back. They tie it at 40. They tied it at 42. I mean, I was sweating and trying to figure out a way to get Duke to a win, doing my part as all of us Duke fans out there are trying to see this team through. You think about, though, in the second half, 17 points for Cam Boozer. So he definitely got the wake-up call and the message there. Sarr was knocking down big shots. And the people want to point to the free throw disparity that's there. I mean, TCU's just hacking Duke. They're taking good shots, and they're going to the free throw line to knock it down. 23 free throw attempts for Duke compared to just 10 for TCU. Duke very good at the free throw line, though, going 20 of 23, many points throughout the year. That was one of our concerns going into March Madness. And knock on wood, because we still have more games to go if we ultimately want to win this thing. Got to win 4 more games to be national champions and come out on top. But I was really pleased with the free throw shooting performance that we got in this game.
JJ, great minds think a lot. I have that in my note. I'm like, well, we'll break down the box score at some time, and the free throws were huge. How about we've talked already about the performance from Malik Brown. As good as he's been all year, of late he's had issues at the free throw line. He had some.
Yeah. I'm glad you're pointing Malik out in this.
Yep. And I was worried, meant that it was becoming a mental thing. He hits 3 or 4 from the line. That was huge. So yeah, the free throw. That was such a worry early in the year, and like you said, credit to Duke for what they've done in the tournament. They've been really good at the free throw line. That's really saved them.
The tournament is here, and it's one of the best times of the year. Brackets, buzzer beaters, upsets. It's nonstop action from tip to final cutdown. And right now, FanDuel is giving new customers a way to stay in the action all tournament long. Here's the best part. You get up to $300 back in bonus bets every day for 10 days. That means 10 chances to stay involved throughout the tournament. You can mix it up however you want. Game picks, futures, or even same-game parlays for bigger potential payouts. It's perfect for the tournament because every day there's something new. Different matchups, new storylines, and more ways to get involved as the bracket unfolds. So visit FanDuel.com to sign up today. That's FanDuel.com to get in on the action.
Welcome back to the Big 6 in 60. Victor Wembanyama scored 26 points to lead the Spurs in a blowout win over the Heat in Miami last night. Locked On Spurs host Casey Vieira has the recap.
A dominant 136-111 victory for the San Antonio Spurs tonight out east in Miami against Miami Heat team that's been a little bit of a ebbs and flows, up and down type deal over the past couple of weeks. But kind of the main thing that we've known with the Heat for a little while now, the big headline is Bam Adebayo's 83 points a couple of weeks ago. So this is the first time that Adebayo and Wemby got together. And to put it mildly tonight, out there at the Kaseya Center, a completely one-sided showing.
This is what you'll be talking about.
And Bam, for the most part, has kind of given Victor some struggles at time. He had 31 against Wemby when they met early on in the season, a game that the Spurs ultimately won. But back to Miami's kind of ebbs and flows, a little bit of a context going into it. They are a playoff team. They're going to make the postseason, but the question is which capacity, because they entered on a 4-game losing streak, including a tough one to the Rockets the other day. But prior to that, they had won 7 in a row and had found themselves sitting reasonably well in the 6th seed in the East, but this little 5-game skid drops them back, and they find them pretty much in a situation where they could very easily end up both as the 6 or all the way down to the 10. So context, yes, this is a pretty good Heat team that the Spurs are operating against. But credit to San Antonio from the rip. They had it going. Up by 7 after the first quarter of play. De'Aaron Fox had 10. Victor only had 2. But that would change a whole lot, because second quarter gets underway, and what we saw from Victor this evening was, at least from, I guess, it's easy for me to say. I'm not Victor, but it seemed like one of these aspects where his defense was that tremendous that it really spearheaded everything he got going on the offensive side, because he had a couple of situations where he had a couple blocks, had a couple of the turn and go the other way deals. Norman Powell had one happen to him. And as a result, little things like that, Victor ultimately got going, ended up putting up 11 points in that second quarter. Collectively as a whole, they had 4 players in double figures in that second, go up by 18 at the break, a plus 11 situation, 38-27. And that was kind of a microcosm as to the rest of the way that the night went. Third quarter, they opened the quarter on a 13-2 run, puts them up by as many as 29. Victor's really getting in a flow of things, getting to the basket, getting the putback dunks, doing all these, all you know what he does. You know what he does, and he did exactly that. And as a result, it finds themselves in a situation where they're up 27 after 3 and just kind of window dressing the rest of the way en route to a 136-111 victory tonight for the San Antonio Spurs. They moved to 53-18 on the season, and like I said off the rip there, 22-2 since February 1st. 25-11 on the road is what the record reads. Vic goes for 26, 14 rebounds, 5 blocks. It's the 15th game this season with 5 blocks or more. Castle with 19, 7 and 6. De'Aaron Fox, he had 19 to go along, or I should say Fox had 14 to help in leading the charge for a Spurs team that dominated on the glass tonight. 62-37 is what the final numbers read. 48% from the field. Cool, fine, whatever. They held Miami to 40, and that's all that counts. And a big reason why is the line I'm about to hit you with for Bam Adebayo. 18 points, 3 rebounds, 4 assists, 5 of 17 from the field, 2 of 10 from deep. He shot 6 free throws, not the 40-something or whatever it was a couple weeks ago when he put up that 83. A performance tonight, obviously on this show that we, it's a Spurs show. We have a little bit of a San Antonio bias. That goes without saying. But I was really looking forward to this game because the Heat were playing relatively well for the most part coming in, even with the close losses and losing 4 in a row. Bam has been on the heater that he has been. The Spurs have been playing tremendous. We know that part. So I was really looking forward to that side of things, to maybe getting some sort of competitive aspect of it. But really, at no point in this game tonight was it ever really competitive. We hang out for the X's and O's and we talk about the X's and O's. The only X's and O's that we saw tonight was that it was working for one team immensely. It was not working for the other team in any capacity. Sometimes basketball is as simple as that, and that's pretty much what it was this evening for the San Antonio Spurs. You take it regardless which way you get there. Hey, you live with it. You love it on top of that. Victor, 26 minutes tonight. None of the starters, let me just double check one more time that was the case. Yes, none of the starters cracked 30 minutes. Champagny only 22. Victor, again, 26. Fox played 29. Vassell, he had 21. He was back, of course, missed last game with a hamstring. And, of course, Stephon Castle, he was back as well, missed the prior 2 with that hip soreness. He played 23 tonight. Big reason why they were able to do that. Big reason why they were able to essentially go deep into the bench and continue to get these guys a little bit of rest, continue to give them a little bit of the ramp up, is 2 guys in particular off that bench. You saw it the other day against Indy, and you saw it again today from Keldon Johnson and Dylan Harper.
It's time to reveal who made the biggest under-the-radar impact with today's X Factor.
Sometimes I feel like that animation we play sometimes can be a little misleading, because when we say under the radar, it would imply that you didn't really see it. But we did see it, because what we saw tonight is more of the same from Keldon Johnson, probably going up against the at least betting favorite for 6th man of the year on the other side with Jaime Jaquez. Keldon had 21 tonight. Jaime Jaquez only had 8. So, if you're looking to balance out those odds to even the field, it's very tight right now. Slight edge up for Keldon. But Dylan Harper, coming off that first start the other day where he had 24 points, looked smooth, looked fantastic. Bounce back, more than bounce back, carried on, continued. Another stellar showing. He goes for 21 tonight with 4 rebounds, 6 assists. And I think what you like out of Dylan Harper right now is something that we hadn't seen really up until this winning stretch, right? Was that there was a lot of aspects where you were concerned, where he was getting a little bit too one-dimensional, so to speak, right? You knew the shot wasn't falling, so at that case, in that scenario, when the three-pointer's not going down, there's very little to amplify his game at that point. And then there was such a consistent offensive struggle. Just talking off the top of my head, I think he was sub 30% for like a 6 week, not 6 week, like a month-long stretch from right around the end of Christmas to mid-January, and sub 20% from three. I remember that part on the top of my head. But this kind of speaks to the growth that we've seen from him at this point. This pursuit of he's not going to win Rookie of the Year. We know that, but this stretch right here has pretty much cemented him or put him in real good position to lock up that all rookie first team spot, a spot on the all rookie first team. And you just really like the dynamics of the way he's been controlling the game, the pace of the game, and it hasn't particularly been kind of one style. You know, I was talking about him being a little bit one dimensional. He's finding new ways to beat you. The Miami Heat, they came in, they're the team that plays the highest pace in the league. Comparatively speaking to some of these other games that we've seen Harper in some of these spots where it's kind of a, slow the tempo down, get back to work. We'll see what we got. But Dillon played really well in that aspect, played to the Heat's pace when it happened that way, because we know the Spurs, they don't have any issues playing fast, that's for sure. And he did everything he needed to do and a little bit more. It's crazy because we're having these conversations sometimes where we're having these conversations sometimes where we're talking in the context of what the Spurs are doing well. And you think for a young team, you hate to say another day at the office type of deal, but man, it's just another day at the office type of thing with them right now, because they're doing more of the same that we know that they're capable of doing. And what we've seen with some of these nights, they felt like kind of one-offs, good things to build off of going forward. It's becoming just concrete, right? You're just seeing it night after night after night after night. And this another example of it, as the Spurs once again take care of business and move to now a modest 54-18 as they head into the final 10 games of the season and try to get that little bit of a ramp up with the postseason right around the corner. So let's talk about that a little bit. Is this kind of the gift and the curse of, maybe you play in too many of these blowouts, you get complacent? Is that something you worry about? I don't know, maybe, but we'll spitball a little bit, because there inevitably will be a few things that kind of raise our eyebrows over the next 10 games, for better and worse, and make us wonder what's next, particularly.
That's all for today's Big 6 and 60. If you follow basketball, football, or college sports, the Big 3 and 30 has a half hour on the biggest news in the NFL, the NBA, and on campus, going up every weekday just like this one. Just search the Big 3 and 30 NBA, the Big 3 and 30 NFL, or the Big 3 and 30 college, wherever you're listening or watching now. Thanks again for tuning in to the Big 6 in 60.